Hello everyone. Whoops, I got a little fire going on here. I wanted to light some incense today, and since we're going into the age of Aquarius and it being about air, it's about the element air, and it's also, whoops, it's also about taking things over the airwaves, and certainly incense carries things across the airwaves. So I just wanted to tell you about that. And I am going to spray us all down, or imagine that I'm spraying us all down with some Palo Santo. So here you go. It's better than sage, and it means holy wood. Oh yeah, love the smell of this. So just allowing the energies to soak through you, and if there's anything in particular that you're trying to clear away, this would be the time to set an intention. I'm going to straighten this a little bit. Okay. So just allowing your intention to be to clear anything else away that no longer serves you. And I thought this would be fun. So this is my daughter Heather, as a, I forget, it was for one thing, as a little side note. She wrote out on these papers the things that on the blue paper, she wrote things that she's done with me over the years that made us laugh or whatever. And the things on the orange little papers are things that she appreciated about me. So I thought I would bring that to you, and I had pulled one. I should have done it on our call, but I pulled it just before to see what I could bring to you for the week as a theme or something to appreciate about you. And this says nurturing. And remember, I said that is one of the things for this year. So my daughter appreciates my nurturing qualities. So I'm going to ask you to appreciate your own nurturing qualities and bring that to yourself this year. How could you increase the ways that you nurture yourself, and what could you bring to yourself with all of that? What are some different things you could do, or you're looking forward to do, to nurture yourself, especially in the winter when we're supposed to be following that rhyme in the season, you know, the rhythm and the rhyme of things, to kind of cut back, to be moving slower, all of that, slowing down and really thinking about things. Another thing I wanted to tell you about, I read this probably a year ago, but it fell out right before, when I went to get the incense, it fell out of the shelf. And I said, oh, maybe I'll tell you about it. Some of you, I did pass it on to you and you've read it. It's by Denise Duffield Thomas, called Lucky Bitch, a guide for exceptional women to create outrageous success. And this is a book on how this woman created her dream hugely. When you hear how she did it, and how once she was clear on her dreams, we know, as my coaching clients know, that once you decide what you want, the universe steps up almost by magical means to bring the resources, the right people, the right connections. Everything starts lining up. And how exciting is that we don't have to know the how. We just can be in a place of, you know, what is it? How does this make me feel? What is my desired feelings? And waiting to respond when the universe does step up. So I think if you're looking for a good book to read over the winter, and you're trying to look at your vision or your goals, for those of you that are cursed with that piece that I always have to make new goals and keep accomplishing till the day I leave this planet, this book is really good for that. Okay, let's dive in. So this is for our second week of January. And interesting enough, this is honeybee. Let compassion and forgiveness be your top priority in any situation. So to me, the honeybee is such a beautiful creature that is so in tune, and it doesn't, you know, harm anyone and all of that. That I love the idea of the compassion. So let's see what this message is. To reap all the sweetness that life has to offer, focus on compassion and forgiveness. Compassion means that you have heartfelt empathy for the suffering and misfortune of others, yet remain somewhat detached to those you don't take on detached so that you don't take on the sorrow and distress of others. Forgiveness requires that you first acknowledge and accept responsibility for your judgments rather than pretending they don't exist or professing to always sustain a non-judgmental attitude. The next step is to release those judgments. To do so, think of someone past or present with whom you've had a judgment or criticism. Trust that the first person that comes to mind is the appropriate one to start with. Consider 2 or 3 specific criticisms that you have about this individual, preferably captured with one word, such as selfish or cold. Find a quiet place, go within yourself, and look for that part of you that's exactly like what you're judging in the other person. Yeah, no one ever wants to hear that. We want to think we're above things. It may be a very prominent part of yourself or a rather small aspect. You may identify it by recalling times when you behaved in ways that resemble what you're criticizing. Once you discover that part of you, simply say to it, I love you and forgive you. If necessary, repeat this 2 or 3 times and notice any emotions that come up. In the coming days, be aware of any feelings that arise that may be associated with this experience. Practice this at least once a day for the next few days and watch what happens. So that's pretty amazing. I love the honey when you think of honey and the sweetness of life. So it's been a long time for many of having sweetness in the way they would like it. I know for me, sweetness is traveling. But it's interesting. What I noticed this year is all of my, I'm going to call them distractions, have been taken away from me. So if when things bother me, I go to eat sweets, I'm now on Weight Watchers. So that stopped. And normally I love traveling. That's a way of distraction. Well, I'm grounded right now. My wings are a little clipped. And, you know, just the different things that I normally do, shop, anything like that. It's like, nope, you're not doing this. You're going to stay right there with this issue until it's gone. So I like the idea of having compassion and really just looking at things in a different way. It feels very, very right. Okay. Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? Boy, if I'm not mistaken, I think last week's message had something about leading as well. Beautiful picture of an angel. Whoops. Here we are. The priestess is a teacher dedicated to service, freedom, and leadership. You don't need to have it all together to lead. In fact, it helps if you don't. No one wants a perfect angel who hasn't made any mistakes. Boy, if that isn't the truth. I remember people saying to me, how come you're so open and you just tell people like things that have happened in your life that may not have been the greatest? I'm like, so they know I'm just like them, and that, every time we trip and fall or screw up, there's some beautiful lesson that comes out of it and we can move on with that. Let your life be your message. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your story. It's by hearing someone else's journey that we feel less alone. We realize that we're actually all in this thing called life together. Yeah, that story is so important. I love hearing people's stories because when you look at them, you just see where they are now. You don't know everything they've been through and what got them to where they are. And as people are honest enough to share your story and know that that's your biggest gift. Your story is your story, and that makes you who you are. So as people hear this, they're just blown away to know, wow, okay, that's what she went through. And I may have gone through a different experience, but if my trauma is my trauma, your trauma is your trauma. So the difference between a follower and a leader is that a leader has the courage to go first. In stepping out, they shine a light on the path for others to venture forward to. Don't fret too much about trying to work on who's your tribe. Don't get stuck at age, income, hobbies, or occupation. The best way to discover your tribe is to look in the mirror. If you feel called to lead, chances are it's because at some point in your life you long for someone to lead you. That's the truth. Your tribe is longing for exactly the same thing as you were and might only be one step behind you. Hell, they may even be right alongside you. You don't need anyone's permission, just the courage to stand up. Embrace your struggle, the peaks, the troughs. You don't need to know the way, just believe that there might be a different one. Your tribe is waiting for you. Step forward so they can find you. How are you being called to step up and lead? How can you be the leader you wish you had? Boy, you could do a whole journaling on that. I'm going to show you that picture again because it's so beautiful, the gold wings. So, all of you, if you're watching this, there are things that don't take for granted that, oh, this is a baby thing that I know. No, there's so many people out there that are waiting to be approached. And we're all teachers at a different level. And we all have different tribes. So if you're being called, which you are, if you're watching this, what is it that you can teach? And find the joy in teaching. Okay. Ooh, so I just picked one, accelerated motion, and look at the star. Doesn't that remind you of the Christmas star that just happened on the 21st in the alignment of Saturn and Jupiter in 0 degrees Aquarius, where one overlaid on the other and it looked like one star? That's what this reminds me of, an accelerated motion. So I'm going to interpret that as even when we think we've slowed down, we're still moving. It's important to know you're still moving, you're still doing what you need to do, and the star is guiding us. Almost like that star in Bethlehem guiding the wise men. This is like, okay, we're all wise men and women. It's guiding us forward in our knowing. So I love that one. Okay, I'm going to put these down. Dig for this one. Go the distance. Look at this beautiful cat. Go the distance. Colette Byron Reed's deck. Okay. Endurance, strength, and the long haul. The Oracle's message: to bring your dream to life, you must think long term and pay no attention to the fluctuations in the current of your experience. Joy and disappointment commingle with opportunities, so there is no need to fear the occasional obstacle. Life is not a sprint. This card is a reminder that you have endurance, strength, and fortitude to carry you all the way. Remain true to yourself. Your authenticity alone will keep you in alignment with the energy of miracles. What is yours will never be withheld from you. Remember that. And it's so important, because when I think of this, I feel like, okay, there's the flag, there's the finish line. So we've signed up for this. This isn't going to end this year. The next 5 years are major turning points towards what we're trying to move into and go into. So it's really, really important that we allow ourselves this. It's like, wow, this is really big, and there's a lot of work to do, so we need to get there. I want to just look at one more thing in this. I'm going to read the prosperity message with this. Your most precious dreams are not about instant gratification, but enduring prosperity. This is a time to think of long-term goals and engage in continued action. You will experience momentum building as you translate the ebb and flow into slow and steady movements. You will move forward. Your efforts, ideas, and hard work can now lead to greater riches than you can imagine. Stoke the fire so that an uninterrupted stream of energy is available to support you in all the phases of manifestation. Be assured that you are in the right place right now. Love it. All right, and the last one. Ride the wave. Boy, it's so funny. Everything is just like, yep. We've got dolphins riding the wave. And to me, they're having joy. They're having play. So it doesn't have to be hard along the way. Just looking at this card says, it doesn't have to be hard. We can enjoy ourselves along the way. We can stop and appreciate our creations. That's really, really important. You can be assured that you're entering a time when you can call to ride the wave of abundance. The tide has turned and you can put your surfing skills to the test. Everything that you know, all your talents, coupled with your hopes and dreams, will carry you forward. People and circumstances have come out of the ocean of potential and possibility to take shape in a wave of spectacular activity. Know that you're definitely on the right path. Isn't that lovely? So just to recap, sweetness of life, find your sweetness of life. What are the inspirations and the gifts that you have, and wanting to bring them to the world this year or starting this year? And what form do you want to put them in? What brings you joy? This is giving you permission to unload all that stuff that's been weighing us down. And then allowing your priestess to step into the teachings of whatever it is. We have accelerated motion, which is like follow that star. The star is your intuition and your guidance. Follow that star to where you want to be. And you have enough energy to go the distance by riding the wave of opportunity. I love it. Isn't this wonderful? So just remembering that, as I spoke, I think last week, about January and February being perhaps a more difficult time to clear out the shadow pieces in the bigger picture, not to worry about things, because we're going to go through this roller coaster to get to where we want to be. But if we know that there's a finish line out there to love, and 1,000 years of love and prosperity and joy, it's all worth it. Everything we've done, past life, up to this moment in time, it's all worth it. Because I don't know if all of you know, but we were repeating the time of Atlantis. And Atlantis will never be again, but we brought it to that time where everything fell apart. So as that happened, now we have the opportunity to rebuild in a whole new way, energetically and otherwise, and to appreciate the gifts that we once had in Atlantis, all the technology gifts, all the psychic gifts, all of this coming back to us. It's like, oh yeah, um, and just knowing that we love our crystals, more and more energies happening where the crystals are speaking to us and coming back with their messages from that time long ago, and being able to really connect with them, and some of our original crystals coming back to us. I just got some beautiful dragon crystals, and they're just beautiful, and they're protector energies, and they've been communicating lately about what their contribution is to me. So their original crystals are kind of finding their homes with their peeps that put them somewhere long ago, buried them into the earth, or had to leave the earth plane and go elsewhere. And also another thing that's happening very strongly this month, for those of you that know that we're not alone and we have star brothers and galactic energies, we are getting so downloaded with new missions and new frequencies. And what that means is these frequencies that have been downloaded into us, they lie dormant until it's time of, to bring it forward. And then it starts filtering through as conscious thoughts about what we need to do. And we think all of a sudden, oh, I got a new assignment, or something new popped in, or I created a new idea. No. These are the downloads we're getting that are keeping us here. Sometimes they're just energetic downloads in terms of giving us energy to raise our vibration and continue on the path. And sometimes they're assignments that come in, filter through, and when we're ready to be doing it, we get the idea and everything comes together to make it happen. So I know a lot of people have been complaining about aches and pains they never had before, or their mind feeling like there's so much going on in their head, or the heaviness of things. These are the downloads. A lot of people are having headaches, and myself included, and I never get headaches. So a lot of this are the galactic downloads we're getting at this time, because the high ITs, the ones that are higher up, are in partnership with helping us birth Earth into her new ascension. So she's got to raise her vibration. We've got to raise our vibrations to get to a new place. And they're all about helping us to get there, because the whole galaxy, sounds like I'm on a star log, but the whole galaxy, the whole universe is shifting and ascending. And so that means we have to do our part. So I know many of you have asked about ascension. Sometimes I think that everybody knows certain things, so I don't really discuss them, but many of you have asked, and it just means we have to raise our vibration so everything in us vibrates at a higher frequency and we can create more light on this planet. That basically is it, and sums it up in the most simplest of terms. But anyways, if you're having any of those aches or pains or headaches, just know where it's coming from and don't panic. And if you're ever in doubt, go to the doctors and see if there's anything there. But many times people come back going, I couldn't find anything. And I'm like, I'm not surprised. Okay? People think they're having tinnitus and they're having downloads. So it's not like you can go to your medical doctor and say, I have all the symptoms of tinnitus, but I know it's, I'm being downloaded from the starships. Definitely don't want to do that. We'll be visiting you in the ward. Anyways, make it a great week. These are all really good pieces of knowing that what we set in motion now can go the long haul. I love every one of you and appreciate all of you for passing my videos on and my blogs on, and I really love you for it. Thank you and blessings for this new year.